Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back with my ranking of the Evil Dead series. So I had originally planned on doing a different video tonight, but my buddy Jason from Horrific Nightmares posted his ranking of the Evil Dead series earlier today, so I just had to do a video response. You guys know how I feel about the Evil Dead series, and I could not pass up this opportunity to do my ranking. So the video I originally planned on doing will have to wait, because right now I'll be ranking the Evil Dead films from my least favorite to favorite. I will not be including Evil Dead the Musical in my ranking, but I figured it would be a good DVD to show just while I was introducing this video. So there you have it, Evil Dead the Musical. Pretty cool, fun, cheesy, just what you'd expect. Moving on to my ranking now, my least favorite film in the Evil Dead series is Evil Dead. This is of course the remake, not the original. I wanted to love this film so badly, but I just didn't. I was very excited when I heard this was being made. You know, I kind of followed the whole pre-production process and then found out it was filming. I got even more excited. You know, just couldn't wait for this to come out in theaters. And then it was released. I went to see it, and I was just disappointed. My wife really enjoyed this one. She liked it a lot. She liked the gore. I liked the gore in it as well, but you know, it just didn't have that magic that the original has. You know, that the original trilogy has. It just didn't feel like it belonged with the rest of them. And I understand that it's supposed to be a remake, but at the same time, I was just expecting more from it. And I don't know what. It was just too modernized for me. You know, the CGI, all that, just didn't do it. So, Evil Dead Remake, the least favorite in my Evil Dead ranking. Next up, now listen closely to avoid any confusion, is the television cut of Army of Darkness. I'm showing the Scream Factory Collector's Edition here because the TV cut is included on this edition. Very cool that they added that as a bonus feature. But, you know, it's edited. It's cut, obviously. You know, they can't have all the profanity, all the violence, all the gore. All that stuff is just cut out. It's the version that you would see on TV. But I wanted to include it in the list. So there it is, Army of Darkness, the television cut, my next pick in my ranking. Next is Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, the work print edition. Now granted, this film is only 37 minutes long in this form, but it's alternate takes, alternate cuts, alternate gore. It's pretty cool, and I love Evil Dead 2. To be honest, growing up, Evil Dead 2 was probably the movie that I watched the most from this series. I don't know why, I just had the most fun with that one, I think. You know, especially the scenes of basically Ash fighting himself and his evil hand in the cabin. I always loved that growing up. But yeah, the work print version is basically a trimmed down version of the film, again, including alternate takes, alternate gore, all that fun stuff. And it's just pretty cool. You know, it's definitely meant, you know, for curiosity purposes, you know, for fans of the series. And yes, I do have this ranked higher than the previous two, the Evil Dead remake as well as the TV cut of Army of Darkness, because I liked it that much. I think it's pretty cool. I'm glad I have it. And here it is, Evil Dead 2, the work print edition. Next up is the one that started it all. And no, I'm not talking about the original Evil Dead. I'm talking about Within the Woods. This is the short film written and directed by Sam Raimi, and it is the foundation of what we now know as the Evil Dead. Without this short film, there would be no series. What's cool about this too is you get to see Ash as the villain. We're so used to seeing him as that iconic hero in the series that we forget that originally Ash was the bad guy. He was the Deadite, he was the one possessed, killing everybody. Very cool. It's such a shame that this hasn't been officially released in the US, because it really is awesome. It's great to see the roots, you know, to see the basis of the Evil Dead series in just this short film. You know, for that reason alone, I needed to include it here, and that's why it's ranked as high as it is, Within the Woods. Next, I have Army of Darkness, the 81-minute theatrical version. This is probably the version of the movie that most people have seen. It includes the famous S-Mart ending, which is definitely the more popular of the two endings. But this also has a lot of missing footage that was filmed for the movie, but not included in this version. So for that reason, I'm including it here. That brings me to Army of Darkness, the international version, which runs for around 88 minutes. This also includes the S-Mart ending, but it has some of the extra footage that was filmed for the director's cut. So while it doesn't include everything, it's sort of a mix and match of the director's cut and the theatrical version of Army of Darkness, which is why I rank it here. Next up is Evil Dead 2. I ranked the work print version of this film lower on my list, but this here is the official full version of the movie. As I mentioned earlier, this is probably the film from the series that I watched the most growing up, and I've always had a lot of fun with this one. While it's called Evil Dead 2, I'm sure most of you would agree that it's more like a remake than it is a sequel. But it's absolutely awesome, it's such a blast, and I had to rank it as high as I did. We've made it to the top 3 now, and coming in third place is the US director's cut of Army of Darkness, or as it's sometimes called, Bruce Campbell vs. Army of Darkness. This version runs for approximately 96 minutes, and it includes the Apocalypse ending, which I actually prefer to the SMART ending. Now I know I'm in the minority with that one because most people love that iconic SMART ending, and I love it too. But this original ending is what Sam Raimi intended, and it's just darker, and it just, I don't know, it fits the movie better for me. You know, it's something that Ash would do, you know, with taking the incorrect amount of drops of the potion and waking up way later than he expected. I've always loved that ending. It's such a fitting conclusion to the trilogy, and it's included in the director's cut. Also in the director's cut is a lot of extra footage and even different scenes that were originally filmed for the movie. You know, later on, the production company wanted some changes made, so Sam Raimi had to really edit down the film to something that he really didn't want it to be, and that's what we got for the theatrical edition. So this is the version that he prefers. The US director's cut, as I said, but unfortunately this version is still missing just a tiny bit of footage. And that extra tiny bit of footage is included in my second place pick. It is Army of Darkness, the international director's cut. This is the full director's cut. It includes everything the US director's cut has, plus an extra 2 seconds. I know, doesn't sound like a lot, but it's 2 seconds of Ash ripping off Sheila's dress. How can you go wrong with that? And how can you not include that slightly above the US director's cut? And finally, it should be no surprise at all, because this is my favorite horror movie of all time. My number 1 pick, my favorite film in the Evil Dead series, The Evil Dead. The original, the best. You guys know how I feel about this film if you've been watching my channel for years now. I have quite the Evil Dead collection, and to me, this is the ultimate horror film. If you guys have watched my top 20 favorite horror movies video, then you'll know how I feel about this film. This has everything a horror movie should have. People go into the woods, people do something they're not supposed to do, people pay for it. I won't go into any more detail than that because I have talked about this film so many times, and it's a classic. I'm sure you've all seen it. How could this not be my number 1 pick when it's my number 1 pick of all horror films? And by the way, Jason, this here is the limited edition. You showed your Blu-ray, you talked about how it's pretty much bare bones, no real special features. Well, that's because they also released this special edition here. It was limited, you know, very limited. It went out of print fairly quickly, kind of hard to get. And it also included bonus features on a limited edition bonus DVD. So, as you can see there, it's the features that were actually included in the Ultimate Edition of Evil Dead, the 3-disc DVD version. So, that's why the other Blu-ray version doesn't have too many special features. Just wanted to show you that. So there it is, guys. My ranking of the Evil Dead series. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Comment below. Let me know how you feel about the series. Let me know how you'd rank the films. And of course, as always, please feel free to post a video response because I'd love to see it. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it.